Start the music.
There's nothing.
Love it, baby. Love it. Woo! All right. Here we are. Another episode of Master Phil in your corner with me, Master Phil. And of course, my partner in crime here, Dougie Fresh Friedman out of the Undefeated Media Studios. And before we get into our program today, I will do my shameless plugs. Today is the last day to get the COVID discount on the Body Bell Method certification. Be sure to check it out at our website, philross.com, and just go right to the Body Bell Method. And then, of course, American Eagle Live. If you can't make it to class, join our website, and you can go, God, what do we have? Over 140 workouts.
Oh, yeah.
On the American Eagle Live site right now, and it's only $19.99 a month. And if you just want to be specific to kettlebells, we have the Kettlebell Workout Library online, as well as Survival Strong for those who are just interested in defensive tactics and body weight strength. And of course, we have to remember our back6feet.com shirts. We want to maintain that social distance. Say it with your shirt instead of your mouth. So today we have two guests inside our little cave here. We have a very accomplished, good friend of mine, Dave Torelli. He's a trainer at Tiger Showman's fight team. He's probably, I think you're the head trainer there. And he's also a New Jersey State MMA judge, but he also gets pulled around to different states. He's big time in the UFC, and it's like I always like seeing Dave's name on the list of referees. I know we're going to get a good judgment and a good call on the fight. It's going to be judged fairly because he has a great grasp of both striking and grappling arts. And as a matter of fact, I used to see him all the time in high school wrestling. I had got a lot of fun watching his son DJ Torelli compete, in the states and the regions and Bergen County tournament. It was a great time. Dave, how you doing today?
Very good, Phil. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh man, thank you for being here. And then of course we have my brother Steve Cerrone. He's currently a New Jersey Athletic Commission board inspector for all the fights. Does MMA, does kickboxing, does boxing, and he's an Army veteran, and he was also a 9/11 first responder. Welcome, Steve Cerrone.
Thank you very much, Phil.
You're welcome.
You're my brother.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the cool thing is that Steve and Dave work together in the world of MMA. And, there's some crazy times going on here. We're going to delve into this and see where we're at, where we're going. This COVID situation's kind of smacked everyone upside the head, and different states have different rules, and we're trying to navigate this situation. Plus, let the fighters fight, let the fans enjoy the fights, and where are we right now? Dave, I know you have an event coming up. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Mohican Sun at Bellator. I did it last weekend. It's very interesting. They have no audience members. It's a big drape around. You hear everything. So it's a little. It's definitely different. I did UFC in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're in a big stadium, and nobody's there. It was just, it's insane.
That's wild. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. It's kind of like one of those, almost like an underground fight club now, right? Just You have the combatants, a couple cornermen, and that's that.
That's it. That's
crazy.
You wear a mask, and sometimes you have glasses on. Your glasses get fogged up from the mask. So.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, if you bring up the mask, it's kind of funny because I know that recently our governor, Governor Murphy, sent out an edict stating that now, we can do contact. We can do boxing contact, MMA contact, and wrestling contact, but it has to be outside. I'm trying to grasp the science and, the thinking behind this, but am I asking too much?
It's ridiculous.
Okay, exactly. It's 100% ridiculous. I mean, to me, if you're breathing on someone, sweating on someone, if you're outside or inside, does it make it any less contagious or more contagious? It doesn't. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Yeah, and the other thing is, look at it logistically now. What are you supposed to do? Take all your boxing rings, wrestling mats, and MMA cages and put them outside? And then look at the temperature conditions you're working out in. I mean, heck, did you want to work outside in the heat this week?
No.
Right? Try to avoid it.
I was going to say, how does that work outside? Because who trains outside? And if you have a ring with the canvas and start sweating, in fact, it was years ago, the fights, was it Point Pleasant?
Yes.
There's like a bunch of MMA fights, a lot of fights. And it started getting so humid that the fighters started slipping and I canceled the fights. You were probably there for that.
I was at that. I was cornering Frankie Bonifante.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually in Blue Claw Stadium, I think it was. Something. Yeah, it was
Everything
Jackson.
Great Adventures.
Yeah.
Great Adventures.
Yes, and the mat was so humid, people were slipping, falling. I think a guy got hurt, right? And they could hurt his knee, and they had to cancel the fights. I mean, you have to use this thing called intelligence when you're making decisions, and I think that there's not too much being shown. But so now we have to apply our intelligence and know-how to kind of get around this stuff. So when you guys come in, what has been laid down for New Jersey? I know we haven't had any fights in New Jersey yet.
Nothing.
No. I heard about a month ago, someone said to me there's possible fights happening in August in Jersey, but I haven't heard anything. There hasn't been any assignments, so
Nothing.
I guess it's not happening yet.
Yeah, I mean, August, I mean, that's tomorrow. I think by now we would have heard something on that.
Yeah, it would have been assigned by
Wow.
now because
That's
so
crazy.
I guess the governor's holding things up.
I guess those two CFFCs in Philly were supposedly in New Jersey first.
Are they back to back?
Back to back, 12th and the 13th.
That's probably what it was.
That's probably what
That's
happened.
It was supposed to be in Jersey at the Hard Rock. It was supposed to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess it reversed everything.
So now in Pennsylvania, will it be the same type of rules?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I wasn't told anything.
So, but you have to
Just
wear.
I assign me, you have to wear a mask.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're testing us. I don't know really anything.
Have they tested you in some of these other
Yeah, I get
venues?
tested all the time.
Okay.
So,
Now, did they test you for antibodies?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have them? Do you not have them?
I have the antibodies.
You do have the
Yes.
antibodies. Wow, that's funny. That's funny because I wound up
By
getting
kid at least.
Yeah, you did. I mean, I don't know. Supposedly they last 2 months, 3 months. Who
Right.
knows, right? We don't really know that. It's funny because I was grappling with one of my guys at my
Outside
school.
course.
No, this is before the COVID. This is before he had gone to California for 3 weeks and came back in January. And then he was sick. I sent him home and came back to studio a few days later. He's feeling fine. So we were grappling, doing jujitsu, whatever. Right? Then we decide, hey, you know what? I want to get tested. His whole family wound up getting sick. They were all sick for like 3-4 days, whatever it was. And they got tested for flu, and they didn't have the flu. So he and his wife went and got tested for the antibodies. They have them. So I was wrestling with this guy when he was infected, and I didn't get him. So I said, I'll get tested. I don't have them.
Now, Dave, let me ask you. Now, even if you're wearing a mask at the fights, they still test you?
Yes.
So I guess everybody on
They
the
temperature check you. They swab you. I got swabbed once for UFC, and then they do the antibody test like once or twice, I think.
so everybody on the commission will be tested, I think?
Everyone gets
So
tested.
I'm just trying to figure out when we go back how it's going to be.
Yeah, you're going to get tested.
But the only thing that I'm not going to say is good, but being there's no audience, like, because my job becomes expanded, that
Right.
kind of all of us. Like, if people sitting close to the ring or in the audience get unruly,
Get back.
sometimes we get involved. And
No.
it's an automatic
Get
thing.
back.
No, because of my background, what I did my whole life, it's just like an
Yeah.
automatic thing. You're really not supposed to, but you got to keep control and you got to make sure that the control board is respected.
Right. of
And you
course.
can't have people come near the tables and stuff.
Well, yeah. What typically happens? Because a lot of people, they watch UFC, they watch Bellator, they watch PFL, they watch all these different fights, and let's give the audience, the listening audience here, like, what happens? Because you guys have a whole totally different perspective. You're right by the ring. You're with the fighters, especially you're with the fighters prior to. You meet all the fight camps and so forth. And I know sometimes the judges, you're all lined up, and you see things. You're aware of things that most people are not privy to. So what are some of the things? What are some of the strange and funny things that happen, when you're backstage at a UFC?
Well, so for that, first off, most people, I can't say most, but a lot of people watching don't know all the rules that are involved. They just think it's an all-out street brawl, but it's a sport, so there's a lot of rules.
Yes.
A lot of rules. And, we have to know all the rules. And they don't know what goes on beforehand. Beforehand is like, I would get there much.
Yeah, let's take us through, and you guys tell us and chime in with each other when you're doing what you're doing.
He comes in late. I get there real early because I, on my own, make sure certain things are set up around the cage. I don't have to, but I want to make it so things.
So we're talking about, like, what do you mean set up? Like, what has to get set up?
Where a doctor's table would be, or things like that. So because a doctor has to be closer to the door,
right?
Okay, because something happens. Have to get them right in there. And my job as a medical inspector for the commission, and it's expanded. First thing I do is make sure we do with the pre-fight medicals. So, it's not it's a thing, checking the blood pressure, things like make sure the fight is able to go.
Yes.
They have a full medical week before that, whatever it is. Right? So make sure medicals get done, and I make sure the fighters don't do anything disrespectful or they don't break the rules. Okay. And then they have to be wrapped. The rules have to be read.
So now who checks their? Now, do you check their wraps?
Inspectors.
The inspectors check the wraps.
Professionals, inspectors watch them get wrapped.
Okay.
They get signed off. Amateurs, you don't have to watch them, but you got to find an inspector, get it signed off.
Okay.
All right. And then the referee will give. Now we do individual rule meetings. The ref goes around to each fighter and explains. Okay. The judges usually come in a little later. Then we have to be there, and then they have their meeting. What's going on? You can explain all that. The judges do.
Yeah. So then, okay. So the fighter comes in. They had their medicals the week prior, and they're all clear. They're good to go. They come in, but they have another medical right before they go out, the day of the fight.
2
right?
hours before the fight.
2 hours before the fight.
If it's not blood work, it's just like
It's just like a blood pressure, temperature, things like that.
heart rate.
Yeah. Because actually, when I ran the UCC, we had a guy who he was fine, and then his blood pressure was through the roof before the fight. He had to cancel it.
Well, some people get nervous. There's a lot of reasons, but if it's too high, they just can't fight. That's the end. They can't.
And the referees get tested too.
Oh, so you get tested?
Not me. I'm a judge.
Okay, you're a judge.
We have to do a physical for New Jersey once a year.
Oh, okay.
And we have, our license and everything like that. But we don't get checked, but the refs do, because they're no more physical than us.
Yeah.
I've known refs who couldn't go because the heart rate was too high.
Wow. Huh. They just have to get last minute.
Some don't drink coffee before, so it's
You can't drink the energy drinks.
Yeah.
Caffeine.
You shouldn't be drinking energy drinks anyway.
Well, you're not allowed. I think it's the rules.
Yeah. Should be a rule. I don't allow them in my gym. I hate those things.
No, as far as fighting, it's against the rules to have anything within the fighting day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can only have water, right?
Water, Gatorade.
Or Gatorade.
So no energy drinks, no
energy drinks. Well,
Monster, Red Bull.
Coffee you could have
performance
like early in the day, but when you get your blood pressure checked, it can raise it. So
exactly,
if somebody's blood pressure is high, the doctor asks, "Did you have coffee?" And you're not. If you're smart about it, you won't drink the coffee. So blood pressure doesn't go up for the physical.
Yeah.
You want to fight.
People won't drink coffee that day.
Yeah.
But any drinks out. You can't have that before a fight because I guess it's considered an enhancement.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that do fall under the umbrella of PEDs, right? Would you want to? Can you tell the audience about some of those?
I'm not really an expert on that, so
So is that something you check, Steve?
He probably knows more than I do.
The PEDs, because I know obviously the different steroids.
There's certain things. Well, there are random. Urine tests?
Yes.
Okay. Some people have to take a urine test, and the results come out, a week later or whatever. Have people in the past come up dirty.
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning names. All the names. Whatever.
I probably know some of them.
Fighters. But as far as what like the corner's allowed to have in their bucket. They're allowed to have adrenaline 1,000 to 1. Okay, they're not allowed to have any pills in there, and
if you have Oceans, remember that Oceans. Nick, I think someone was had some pills. Or
in the fight, cage side. Yeah, that happened. And I'm like, if you have asthma, inhalers,
can't use it.
No inhalers during the fight.
It's a steroid, right?
So that's they watch. I mean, you look in their bucket. If something foreign in there, it's out. I don't deal out the adrenaline.
That happened in UFC. In between rounds.
You don't know what they're putting in there. First of all, it's like, and as far as water, has to be. It can't be your own water bottle because you don't know what's in there. It has to be
sealed.
Like a water bottle. Yeah,
I remember when I cornered.
The promoters supply water.
Yep.
So you have to use that.
Yes.
So for the layman's here, you're allowed to have a pack of adrenaline. Is that what you said?
Well, it's called adrenaline 1,000 to 1 ratio. That's
for the cuts, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Stop bleeding. That's all. Not a lot. No inhalers. No ammonia. Nothing like that.
Interesting. It's really funny because one of the things in my estimation, and I'm not the only one, that killed the sport of boxing was the judging. Terrible judging. It was very, very biased. And sometimes we see that in the UFC or in MMA. I'm watching a fight. And I'm like, wow, this judge scored it. 28-29, 28-29. This one, 30-27. And it's like, I don't think so. Yeah.
Happened to us last week.
Yeah.
Well, you want us the other way around.
Yeah. It can be the other way around too.
Well,
but
if you have it 30-27 for one fighder, 30-27 for the other fighter, and like,
how does that happen? How does that happen?
It happens.
So what is if you can bring us through the training, the thinking, I'm just going to operate on the assumption that people will have proclivities toward certain styles. Like, if obviously you're an Olympic wrestler, you're going to probably like the grappling better. You're a jiu-jitsu guy, you like the grappling better. You come from a boxing background or a kickboxing background, you're going to give more credence to someone who is more dominant in striking. But there's a whole bunch of other things that go into determining who controlled the cage and who, is deserving of that. Can you take us through a little bit of that?
Well, it's maybe at a low level, judges are like that, but at a high level, we're looking for one thing: is damage. Who caused the most damage in that fight? Like last week, I can't remember, JJ against this guy Cerrone, I believe it was. I don't remember the names, but Cerrone had JJ. I think that's his name. Had him against the cage, but wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah.
At the end, it was a takedown. JJ got a takedown, side control, got his back. At the last half a minute, or a minute it was. So I just saw the damage there. I thought that was the most important thing. I'm an MMA guy, so I'm not looking for one thing in particular. I'm looking for who caused the most damage.
So when you're saying most damage, the harder strikes, the more submission attempts, the more takedowns. I mean, there's a whole bunch of criteria. Like you have criteria. Okay, here, if somebody scores takes a guy down with a double leg takedown, right? Another guy drops a guy with a right cross. Which one carries more weight?
What happened when you took the takedown? Did you just take him down and he got back up? Did you strike him and it just slipped or glanced? Did it land clean? Did you take him down? And then, some knees in there, some elbows, some strikes.
Yeah.
What came closest to, I have this whole thing in my head that I do, and actually hold a blue and a red pen. And so I'm always remembering who had the most control or who had the most dominance or damage, for a period of time. And then, I have a whole thing in my mind, like a scoring system that I do for the round fighting too in my mind.
Right. So you see how, what he's doing. Is he trying submissions?
How close is that submission? And I think my eye is pretty good for the submissions. I think I see it really well. And, sometimes these referees are in front of you and you can't see. And you can't look at the monitor. You try to look at the monitor and you lose something. So
yes,
things do happen.
Yeah. And in some cases, there's not a lot of damage. So I would think you look for who's the aggressor, who has better technique. So there's no damage,
who had a little more superiority in that round, who did a little better, who caused a little more damage. Sometimes real tight. I don't ever remember doing 10-10.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there have been 10-10 rounds.
Yeah,
I try to call it.
Yeah, because some of those are really tough to call. I mean,
So hard.
some of these guys are just so close to each other, and I mean, they're striking, and then the guy takes him down, then he stands up and he knocks him down, and it's like, how do we really see who's controlling the
damage?
fight?
I mean, what I do with my friends is actually we sit down and watch a fight, and I'll call out everything that's going on in my mind. Like,
right.
What am I seeing right now? What happened? Who controlled that? Really, who caused most damage? Who took the person down to a better position? Who went for more locks? Who tried to end the fight faster?
Yeah.
And you might be doing that, and then all of a sudden you hear, like, oh my God, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
What? Give me something. Give me something.
Yeah.
Like me sitting cage side. So my first love in life is boxing.
Yes.
I started young, but actually I started street fighting first. I had no choice. Anyway, boxing. So I like to stand up. I mean, you guys, I did my ground fighting too in martial arts. I got a black belt. You guys did more ground fighting with your styles. Every style is different. Now, but me, I like when I stand up and banging and then stop. That's why, like, I love kickboxing because you got to keep going. Because, I mean, some ground fighting when they're working a technique or a choke or arm bar or something, a leg lock, something, But if you just to me, sometimes they're just laying there. To me, in my opinion, and I kind of get a little frustrated. Like, you can't make them stand up because they're working something.
Right. And if you look back at a couple different things, you just made a couple things click in my mind. Here, back in the 80s when they started doing the professional kickboxing, these PKA and so forth, what wound up happening with that, why it fell apart, we thought it was going to be the sport of the 90s. Remember, Better Off Dead, right? Or say anything. Well, you think it's going to be the next up-and-coming sport. And it really, in my estimation, should have been. But what happened? You saw guys coming in there just from like a pure karate background doing it, and then boxers who weren't maybe that great at boxing or just wanted to win some more fights went into that, and they would throw minimal kicks and then knock the guy out with their hands. So the sport kind of fizzled, never really gained the notoriety that it should have. And then you were talking about how you get frustrated when you see the people on the ground. Well, think about this. Back, you guys all know catch wrestling, right? Well, my grandfather was a boxing trainer back in the day, and he told me they used to have these big shows, and at the shows they'd have boxing and catch wrestling, and then what killed catch wrestling? The advent of television. Because what happened was they couldn't see, it was very granular then, and the people could not see the moves being done in catch wrestling. Plus, there's no time limit. And yet you could see boxing very easy, right? Anybody can see. You punch him in the face, he falls down. I can see that. I get what happened. But if you see two guys wrestling, I mean, we know what's going on. We're very adept grapplers. I appreciate the movement on the ground. Again, I have a decent striking background, so I appreciate that as well. But to a lay person, maybe they don't understand the positioning, the hip pressure, things like that. So now when you're judging that, okay, how do you look at someone with that who's got that really good top control, or transversely, sometimes some guys are pretty good at the bottom, and they're doing damage on the bottom. Can you tell people a little bit more about that?
So that's basically it. The damage that they cause. If I have side control and I'm not doing anything, I'm just holding on to, I don't weigh that very much. But if you just held that for a while, I mean, I can't tell the fight what to do. The referee is there to paint my picture of what I'm scoring.
Yes.
So basically, it's what causes the most damage, and lost my train of thought. But on the ground fighting, someone's perfect example. The same fight, third round.
Yeah,
kid on the bottom, he was losing the fight because the guy had him against the wall. Then he went up for a jumping triangle. Mm-hmm. So on the bottom, he has the other guy in his guard. He was elbow striking him. Mm-hmm. And nothing else happened. There's nothing else going on. It was like a boring fight, but the elbow striking for about a minute to the head. I weighed that.
He was making an attempt
He was trying to.
Try, and then he
Working
eventually got his
moves.
back too, and then he got the mount.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
So,
Yeah.
but it was basically the elbow strikes I weighed very heavily on.
And he was on the bottom.
And he was on the bottom.
Right. So again, it depends on who's giving the most effort, doing the most damage from whatever position they're in.
Yes.
You got somebody up against the cage, and you're just kind of like putting your shoulder in their face.
That's
Well,
all
it's,
it is.
that's not too much. Now you're stomping the foot, you're throwing knees, you're hitting them with uppercuts, you're banging them with elbows. You're going to score a lot higher.
Yes.
Even if you're putting a guillotine choke on, even though you're not getting them, not choking them out, you're still working it. And then
Still
sometimes
working
they could be there for a minute straight.
Yeah, and that's
only
hard
can
to
work
keep
out.
someone like that.
I get frustrated because, like I said, you talk about when they're up against the cage and not really doing nothing, just holding their weight against the other guy. I get because my boxing mentality.
Yeah.
I really good hands, thank God. I mean, I don't understand how if somebody's there, how to not the body's wide open, they're not throwing body shots, just lean on them. I don't understand that. Maybe they didn't learn it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
but
Well, actually, we can go off on something because I have something to add to for the training. But we have a question.
Yeah. So again, for the layman's here, if we're comparing it to boxing, right? So like, are you weighing it like a jab is like 1 point, and then like let's say a really good uppercut's like 3? Like how are
Is that
you?
me you're asking?
Yeah.
No.
So like, how's the weight system
I just
go?
see, boom, he got knocked back, sweat came out of it. He cut him. He knocked him down.
Are you like comparing it on points? Like where?
No,
Like
it's a scale. That's why it's so.
so it's not at all like boxing where it's
No,
like he had 100.
MMA will be damage. What damage did you do with the strike?
What happened
Because
to
look,
that
because a jab, I've seen people get knocked out with a jab.
Yeah, man, it's a great jab.
Yeah. So but like
Trust
my
me,
question
man.
is how is it? Where's the way? So correct me if I'm wrong.
If I'm just tapping you, then
It's not
it's not going to
But
win.
in boxing, right? Don't you get points for the contact?
Well, they count.
You only in amateurs you can outpoint someone in the pros, but that's still that's why they do power shots. Okay, power strikes.
So that's my question then is like where is is there a point system that like, oh, that was a really good hit, that value, where's the value system?
That's why it's tough. It's
So you're winning the
once
round.
again, the referee and the fighters are painting a picture for me, and I gotta score it. I gotta say what I thought about that picture.
So so the points is as the round as a whole, you win the round. There's
I
no
know.
okay, got it.
The judge
Not
is
the fight.
the judge.
Got
Is,
that.
Doug,
Got
the judge is the point system. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like the judge is determined, did that strike do damage? Did it mean anything?
Mhm.
Is it just thrown? You can't just throw air jabs.
Gotcha.
See, boxing, if you throw jab and you make contact, they do count. Count
Yeah.
box. They count. Punch count. Okay. Now,
But they also have power punches.
yes,
too.
but if there's no power punches, and the one guy threw 30 jabs that just touched him, he's going to win a round.
Exactly.
You know.
Now, do they have a? Is there, I know there is, but tell us about the training protocol to become a judge.
Well, ABC has training seminars that you're supposed to go. We do that, and then we believe it or not, we have like a whole group of guys, and over the pandemic, we would have Zoom meetings, and we would score a fight. We would put a fight up, and then everyone would give their opinion. But it started getting a little bit too crazy. We had people from all over the country, so I'm like, this is all over the world, not the country.
Yeah.
There's too many people talking, you can't get your opinion in. So now we have a small select group of of guys that we go over different fights.
Wow.
So we discuss it like that. Nick Lembo I have to say, he's taught me so much. Every time I do it, almost every single time I do a fight, he'll call me in the morning, or I'll call him. What do you think, Nick? Did you think that I scored that right?
Yeah.
You know, we go over different things.
Well, I will definitely say this, that without Nick Lembo, I don't think the sport would be at the level it's at right now.
Right.
I mean, I know he's implemented so many just rules and protocol, and just put together like a real system of the unified
Very smart.
rules.
He made unified rules.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
a lot of state commissions call for his advice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in New York, when they first started the MMA stuff, they asked him and Larry a lot of questions. How do you do it? What needs to be done? And to me, they're the two best in the world in the MMA commission. And think about it, UFC.
Yeah.
Where they get their first Taj Mahal,
Taj Mahal.
right?
Yep.
Trump gained their start, actually,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, Larry Harris gave him the first time in Jersey, license in Jersey for the UFC, and that's when I guess it was when Dana White came in.
Yes, yeah, it was in the.
And that's when he started. That's when he started picking up.
When the Fertitas.
That's when it started going, really.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of other judges that I'll talk to, and we'll call each other, or even after that night, that fight, we'll text each other. We'll talk. What did you think? So I think it's so important. So it's not
Actually, let me just expand on that a little bit. Now, you said right after you'll meet with the other judges and contact each other and talk about it. I think that is a great thing to do. Why? It's fresh in your mind, and you can reinforce that to move forward for the next one, right?
So we actually, as a group, before this pandemic, we would go into a room afterwards and we'd go over fights and we discuss each fight. Why'd you score that way? So we always take notes. So always writing down. It's hard. Like you have a minute to score, hand it, and then write down what you thought about that round because you're going to be asked probably why you judge it that way.
I don't envy your position. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, because here boxing, there's less things to do. Kickboxing, there's less to be concerned with. But when you're talking about MMA, you have striking, you have grappling, you have submission attempts, you have the takedowns, you have the ring control or cage control, you have who's dictating the pace of the fight. I mean, there's a lot of things to be considered when you're scoring a fight. And the thing is, it can be one way for 4 minutes, and then for that last minute of the round, one guy just comes out. And it's like, holy cow! What do you did he steal the round? Right? I know, right? Why did you start 2 minutes earlier? Right?
And there's fights like that all the time. And these guys are so good now, and women are so good now. I mean, they're even fights, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I want to get back to one thing before I forget. Like I said, I grew up boxing, street fighting.
Oh yeah, because I remember. Yeah.
And then I got the black belt, the whole thing. Yeah. And when UFC first started, MMA stuff, some people came to me, and you were probably one of them because you were in the same boat.
Yep.
Said you'd be great at the MMA. You got the boxing, you got this, you background martial arts, whatever, wrestling, whatever I did, street fighting. And I'm like, there's no money back then. Right. So I really push into it, but. I learned so much from you with MMA, and I really learned from being on the commission from Larry and Nick. I learned so much stuff. It's unbelievable, and the stuff that I didn't know existed. Yeah. The inside of everything. And now it's when I'm watching a fight with a person that doesn't know that stuff, just sees the sport and like, oh, they did this. Like we know different when we're watching it, and it's weird how you watch it differently. And it's like watching somebody hit a heavy bag, and the average person thinks they're hitting it properly. And I know I can pick them apart, everything they're doing wrong. And same thing, all of us with the MMA, it's the same thing. Like I said, I learned so much from Larry and Nick and you, MMA. I mean, you brought me to the thing in Newark, right? And then I did your security for UCC, and then I got going.
That was
Nick brought me in,
right in.
And also Mike DePasquale.
He's another judge.
Yes. We got
to get him on here too.
Well, he was one of the first UFC judges.
Yes, he was.
He used to travel with Fertitta brothers with a trailer truck, and they used to put the cage up by themselves. He was telling me a story about in Alabama. They had the judges and the owners putting the cage up. That's how when it first started. It's pretty wild to learn how it started, and how it grew. And now it's crazy.
You brought something up before. You said, well, how you're looking at a guy and he's got someone against the cage. You're wondering why he's not throwing an uppercut. And you know what? It is his training. Because if he's trained in Muay Thai, strict true Muay Thai, there's no uppercut. Because they figure, why throw an uppercut when I can throw a knee? So in that training mode, if he's not trained like that, it's not in his muscle memory. He's not looking for an uppercut. So that's why maybe he's not doing it.
One person I forgot, very important. How can I forget this? My instructor, Tom Pateri, who brought me to the martial arts and my black belt, and to me, he's the greatest instructor in the world because every
Doug might argue with you, but
I know every style of martial arts is great. All of it, it's awesome. The different styles. We did a style. It's combative street style. So you guys do a traditional katas, things like that. We didn't do katas, but we did different things. And you have different names for techniques, the traditional names.
Yeah.
We had the Americanized names for techniques, but like I said, all you guys, Tom Patieri, I owe you guys a lot as far as what I learned in the whole thing. And thank God I have good people like that in my life. And all you guys that I know, and I just met you, you're a good person, but you guys are all big influence on my life. And, thank God I have that, because a lot of people in life can't say they have great people in their life.
Yeah.
I do. I'm lucky. I'm blessed.
So are we. I mean, look, I talk about Tom Patieri was on a couple of weeks ago. I have the utmost respect for Tom, and he's helped me in many things as well. And it's just it's a great community we're in.
Yes.
Right? I mean, to me, I actually gave up the corporate world, and I went into this full time, and I'm glad that I never looked back. It's funny, you did talk. I did get invited by, ready for this name, Art Davies sent me an invite to fight in the UFC in 1996, and I was actually going to do it. And then, remember, it became illegal, and then they were shutting things down and doing this and that and the other thing.
Because there's less rules.
Right. Well, yeah, and they were arresting fighters, and of course, at the time I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. So I never competed actually in MMA, but did all the I competed kickboxing, submission fighting, wrestling, boxing, karate, everything. But I never
I actually went out for the tough man competition back then.
Yeah, remember those? Yeah.
Okay. They wouldn't let me fight because I had a boxing background. I said, wait a second. I watched guys. That's what they told me. Because you have a boxing background, you're not supposed to have any kind of fights.
Fights. Yeah.
Organized fights. So I watched it. I watched this little guy beat the crap out of this big guy. He threw so many left and rights, the guy didn't know what hit him. He had to have a boxing background. There's no way somebody goes in there without a boxing background, throw a punch like that guy throw. So, I think there's a little bias to me, say tattoos or something. I don't know.
Hey, Dave, let's tell everyone about your background, a little bit of your background.
I started Tiger Showman after college. It was actually called United American Karate, and just fell in love with it. Then one day I decided to do it full time, and oh my God, it was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I have Tiger Showman's in Elmwood Park, and we have our headquarters. We have a fight team that's out of there. We have a lot of top level fighters. Every day we have training going on 7 days a week. Guys are top level. It's just, and also Tiger Showman and his brother Ron Showman are just unbelievable coaches, and all the coaches we have there are amazing. Ray Velez, boxing coach. We just got.
Well, you got my boy down there who I absolutely love, Rusty Reed.
Rusty Reed.
He's one tough guy. He's incredible. Right?
And that's like, oh my God.
He's that guy. He's amazing on a mat.
He's taught me so much.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing he's taught me is how to relax. When you fight, you have to relax. He's really calm, and just.
Yeah, he moves so well.
Everything is right.
Yeah, he's very precise.
Because if you don't relax, you forget.
Yep.
It doesn't let you can't flow.
And yet people feel what you're doing.
Yep. And you roll with it. That's why I said roll with the punches. You got to go with it. If you're tense, you're too hyped up,
and you freeze up. A lot of guys freeze up.
Oh yeah, they'll do it.
I've seen guys, especially in boxing, guys who I was involved with, 13-0, Atlantic City, winning every round. 1 round to go. All you have to do is like throw a few jabs and move around a little bit, just show the judges that they're being aggressive, and they freeze and get knocked out. I've seen that a few times. That's amazing.
That's all about training.
It's amazing.
What your training camp is like.
You don't know what happens. It's like a deer in headlights out of nowhere. You don't know. I mean, you could get yourself worked up. Make yourself nervous. You don't know.
Some guys do that before fighting. That's why they fail the blood pressure test. They're all ready to go for the fight, and they think, oh, this guy's now had a great training camp. Look at this guy, and you can't. What do you mean you can't fight, Coach? I failed blood pressure. I'm like, let's give it a chance. Blood pressure off the charts. Off the charts.
To me, that's to do with how you grew up and what you did your whole life, what you've been through.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
You don't panic. If you've been through a lot of things and done a lot of, like say, street fights or whatever the situation is like that, you won't panic. But if you just somebody who comes out of nowhere and wants to be a fighter, and you trained, even though you might not have it in you, the heart, that's a lot. The heart is everything. You know that.
Yep.
And it's like, and, people's, everybody wants to win, but to me, it's like you got to hate to lose. You do anything not to lose.
Don't want to lose.
You don't want to lose.
You almost saw a loser. I refuse to lose.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you, that to me is where you have to start with the fighter. The refuse to lose. Refuse to lose, and it kind of bleeds into everything. That's why, to me, I'm glad that I was brought up as a wrestler, and my grandfather was a boxing trainer. I didn't do much competition boxing until later, but I was a wrestler, and that grinder mentality has just helped me through so many different things. Same thing the martial arts breeds, like a real strong martial art will breed that in you, that never say die attitude, the refuse to lose. And, and sometimes, can it be developed in people? Yeah, but you got to put yourself out there. Do you have anyone that comes to mind? Any particular stories? Maybe somebody came to you and then you pulled that out in them, and you said, "Wow, this kid is something else now."
Yeah, I have several guys I just think about Jimmy Rivera.
I was just gonna say, I love.
We actually, when he was young, this had to be 20 years ago. I don't know. He was a kid. Me, him, and his mother were hanging out in my lobby after classes. Yeah. And me and him, I started cracking up doing it, but we started getting into a little fight. He's arguing with me, and we actually got into a physical fight. But I'm laughing my ass off. He's trying to really beat me up. Yeah. He just has that heart. We have a lot of guys just have that heart. That Trezano's an animal. Yeah. Lyman Good.
I was going to say Lyman. Lyman,
Shane
Burgos.
Yeah. He's just
one
tough
He lost his last fight, Burgos, right? A few weeks ago, he lost his fight.
Yeah.
But he's great. When I worked with him in the amateurs, I said, this guy's going to be in UFC. He still
got hit some good shot. He was in there the whole time. Yeah. He's just so dedicated, these guys. And randomly, and you see these guys come up, and I remember Lyman just being like this innocent kid. Now I look at him like he seems sparring. I'm like, who would get in the cage with him?
That's gotta hurt.
Oh my god! Back in the day, I was nuts, but now I've calmed down.
That catches up.
No more getting hit to the head anymore.
No. That happened to me about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, and I had to get 4 vertebrae done on my neck. So I'm done with getting hit in the head like that.
And I just said, I'm not getting hit to the head anymore. And I used to fight a very aggressive fight, which probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world. But we didn't have the training we have now. You guys see like this, the classes we have are just, they get these kids to a level that you never expect. My son didn't do any jiu-jitsu. Now he's training with the guy, and he's looking unbelievable. And actually said to me, Dad, he goes, Dad, I think I'm better at jiu-jitsu than wrestling. And just he's just rolling with these guys.
Well, the thing is that I'll tell you, I think, in my opinion, wrestling is the base for MMA. And I think the first 2 things you have to learn are wrestling and boxing. And then everything else can come from those. The hands, the hand speed, the combinations, and the footwork with boxing, plus the takedowns, the base, the being heavy on top, the hip and body awareness you get from wrestling, that makes you successful at jiu-jitsu. Yes. You have that advantage, over these guys. And wrestlers are grinders. Yeah. Wrestlers grind, and it gives you such an advantage.
Yeah, I think, boxing and wrestling will save you.
Yes.
Well, sometimes this guy who's great at jiu-jitsu in an MMA fight, and he's going for locks, and the guy's on top of him just punch him in the head. And usually the guy on top of him is a wrestler who has boxing background. So
exactly. That's the thing right there. You have a good wrestler who can throw hands. That's a great way
to. Look at guys who just count on jiu-jitsu.
That's what I'm saying.
They have to go to the ground.
They have to.
So, not every fight's going to go to the ground.
That's why you have to be good at everything. Not great, good at everything, or very good at everything.
Right. And nowadays, before, when the UFC first started, it was this guy did this guy did that, this guy did that. It was a real true, what style is the best. But now, everybody's good at everything. You have to be. People have strengths, in different areas. But you have to have a full toolbox.
Did Gracie ever win a fight stand up? I don't know. Maybe they did.
No.
I think later on he started with his hands, but at the beginning it was always to the ground and submission.
Shocked everyone.
Yeah.
But I think later on he learned to use his hands because he had to.
Well, listen, we have to be thankful to all of them because
Oh, yeah,
the Gracies,
Seven and all those guys.
I mean, they had the guts and the vision to bring us all to the forefront. Because back in the day, back in the day, in the late 70s and 80s and so forth, we were talking, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we could do these with like no rules? And there were so many like experiments. Like Aaron Banks used to have the Tough Man tournaments where you'd be different people. Different martial arts going against each other. When Ali fought Inoki over in Japan, I mean, wound up being a draw and so forth. But they're always trying to figure that out. And remember, like in judo, Gene LaBelle used to do some of these quote first MMA fights. They were trying to get it going, but it never got going until the Gracies did what they did. I mean,
people fed off of that. It changed.
Yes, it's evolved.
This guy took this from that, and this guy took that, and then everyone starts doing this, and it just keeps on evolving. It's just, it's like a little infant.
Think about back then it was one round, right? When I first started. 15 minutes, right? Was it 15?
Yeah, 20. Wasn't it 20?
Oh, 20, 15.
And then first it was a half hour, right?
One round, but I remember watching Abbott and Taktarov. This is what I want to talk about, like when the laying on the ground gets a little boring, because I remember that fight. Taktarov weighed 210 pounds and Abbott was a lot bigger, but Taktarov's laying on top of him, just laying and not doing anything. The ref's not picking him up, just laying there for like 10 minutes. And I'm saying to myself, here's what I get like a little frustrated because these guys are all martial artists, supposed to be martial arts guys. I'm like, why isn't he like grabbing his wrist, putting him into a wrist lock to get him off him? His hand right there. I never understood that.
Tank Abbott wasn't he said, I'm a pit fighter. I brawl. That's all he did.
And it computes in my head that a lot of guys don't learn. I guess I go by what I learned. And a lot of people know different kinds of martial arts and some styles don't have the same thing. That's why, and I get frustrated. But I mean, wrist locks you can use, right?
Yeah, of course you can.
And I mean,
you can't grab your fingers.
No, reverse arm bar.
No small joint manipulation.
No small joint, no pressure points. I understand. But like reverse arm bar and stuff like that, you don't see a lot of that. No, you see the Americana, which is basically your reverse arm bar. Yeah,
UFC does UFC or MMA. It legitimizes everything. So if your technique really like these funky things, if it doesn't really work, it's not going to work in UFC or Bellator or any MMA. So we're finding out what does work.
Which is, I love that.
You're not lying to somebody.
Right.
And there you go, boxing and wrestling.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a go-to type of thing,
Well, the thing,
kickboxing, and of course, jiu-jitsu is important.
I just did like my ranking. It's my own ranking. Boxing and wrestling, and then jiu-jitsu, and then kickboxing. In order of importance, in my mind. In learning for a an MMA fight.
As far as kicking goes, you don't see a lot of side kicks. Once in a while, you see leg kicks, which
calf kicks.
Inside kick. You don't see a lot of side kicks, and that's a powerful kick. Once in a while, very rarely.
And there's a couple of guys that do it very well. John Jones, Wonder Boy, does it very well. I've seen a couple other guys use them, but it's not widely used. I'm gonna go out here on a rope here. It takes a lot of training to get a good side kick, and maybe guys aren't spending the time training with a kick because the big kicking art in what I see in most MMA is Muay Thai. They don't do a lot of the other types of kicks. Like Muay Thai really doesn't have a side kick in it.
Well, Muay Thai is mostly knees.
Yeah, knees, push
knees.
Kick, and cut kick. So that's where the guys are more trained. And again, that brings us also back to why maybe that guy wasn't throwing an uppercut, because Muay Thai doesn't have an uppercut in their mind. Hey, if I can throw an uppercut there, I can throw a knee. And of course, a knee is a lot more damaging than any of those techniques.
And that's another thing. If you don't have it in you, like you can teach somebody how to throw a punch.
Yes.
But if you don't have it in you, that killer instinct.
That's what I was going to say.
You're just going to throw it like nothing behind it. No bodies can be all arm punch. I see a lot of arm punch. I thank God that I learned how to throw a punch properly. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to stand in front of a mirror and throw jabs and stuff. Then when I started boxing, I learned that was all wrong. I learned from guys who fought in the Garden, 1941 champions. Thank God. I learned in the Army first. real boxing. Then I came out as a whole bogus stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dom Amoroso, who's 1941 main event in the Garden. He told me a lot of different things I was doing wrong, and I know how to use my hip to throw a punch and the power. And thank God. And I know that's why I get frustrated when guys are throwing. To me, it's like they're trying not to hurt the guy, and I get confused. You're boxing, and too much is round stuff. That's not even a punch. A hook is tight. That's a hook. This is a roundhouse that you use for training in martial arts, and I use it in fights. And you lose time, you lose power, and they all do the same thing. To me, I just get frustrated. I feel like jumping in and this is how I throw a punch. You know what I mean?
Well, again, you have to look at what is that combatant's background? How much did they spend time doing boxing? And then, of course, there's boxing for MMA, which is a little bit different than boxing, but you have to have your good boxing base to go from there. And that's, again, that's one thing I maybe these guys are just not working on some of these aspects because they take time to develop. Look, to be a good wrestler, how hard is it to be a good ground? I mean, that's one of the toughest things to do is to learn ground fighting. I mean, your son, how long did he train as a wrestler?
Little kid.
From a little kid, right? Most of these good wrestlers, they go Division I, even some of these guys Division III. You want to be good, man. You're starting as a kid, and it takes a long time to get good at it. And it's very frustrating. And you know what? Especially in the beginning, when you're going against people who are older than you, more experienced, you get whooped a lot, right? So to keep that fire in you when you're losing is kind of tough. And
you can't teach heart.
You can't.
That comes out your lifetime of what you do. You know.
But so Dave, when these guys are judging, do you see a lot of them with what are some of the type of backgrounds on some of these judges? Because I see the names. I always pay attention to names because I know a lot of the guys and who they are. But some of them I have no idea who they are. And then what is the process? What is the process for selection to be a judge? Because I'm sure as much as I know, whatever, I just couldn't walk in and say I want to be a judge UFC fight tonight.
So I'll tell you how I started. I was sitting in a Atlantic City MMA fight, and I'm sitting there, and I hear announced there's a retired fighter out there, David Torelli. So I'm looking around thinking they said Dave Terrell, the UFC fighter. So I'm looking for Dave Terrell. And my friend said, no, they called you up there. So I went up there, I waved, and then Nick Lembo said, here's my card. Give me a call on Monday. I'd like you to maybe work for me. Ended up calling him up and went through a course. Then we started at low-level fights, amateur fights, and we'd go over the scoring afterwards.
Yeah.
It started getting bigger and bigger fights. I remember actually I would always get, even now, before the fights, I get a little adrenaline rush or, nerves.
That's good, though.
Yeah, I like it. If I don't get it, I'm scared. Like, why am I getting nervous?
But that's good nervousness. It's like when you get to a fight, same thing.
Yeah.
No,
because you care about it.
I don't want to screw up. Yeah.
Right.
So even today, I had Ray Velez busting my chops because there was an American and a kid from New Zealand were fighting. Mm-hmm. And why'd you give it to the guy from New Zealand? I said, because he won.
Exactly.
So you start at that level, and then you start moving up, and so you start getting the big fights. And like I said, I was a little nervous. And before the fights was UFC. I think it was John Jones, and I've done a bunch of main cards, a lot. And I took to Nick. I'm like, what happens if I screw this up? He goes, Dave, you've done this before. Just relax. And that's when I knew I could, because you've done a great job. And
wait, let me ask you, because I know you said you had a red pen and a blue pen.
Yeah, red.
Okay, right. Yeah, for the corners. But now, do you have different sections of the paper for?
I'm not writing anything down.
You're just putting hashes.
Nope, not doing anything.
What are you doing?
Just have a red pen and a blue pen. And whoever I think is control, just like a referee in wrestling, whoever I think is controlling or winning the fight. Because sometimes it's going back and forth.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh, man. So this way, it's a reminder who I believe is winning at that point. And then if someone's dominating, like on the ground or something like that, I'll be, they're in control. So I remember. So it's like a little reminder for me. Because you could, they're moving around so much.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to. I was thinking maybe you just did a hash.
There are some people who write. I just can't. I tried it. It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Actually, my penmanship was everywhere. So
judge is hard.
I know.
I was
As I
there-
said, I don't envy you. I don't envy you.
I
at
was
all.
there to try my hand at it.
Yeah.
So I did like a mock thing. I'm working the fights. So I just did on pay. I got pretty close to most
No,
of them.
you
Correct,
good,
but I said to myself, I don't want to. I'd rather do physical stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I'd rather be physical involved and everything. That's what the stuff I do with the commission.
I love judging. Like you said, you have to go in early and set everything up. I go in, get my scorecards. I sit down. I'm with guys I've traveled the world with.
Yeah.
We talk all the time. So I get to hang out with them. I sit down, I score my fight, and then,
So where are some of the places that you've gone in the world with the
all
with
over
the fights?
Brazil, Mexico,
Yeah.
Stockholm, England,
Wow.
Ireland, Canada,
Mhm.
all over the country.
Now, how long do you
Cool.
typically, if you go to Brazil? How
Usually
long?
you leave like Thursday, and then, Friday you get there and whatever, and then Saturday's a fight, and then Sunday morning you leave.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah.
But if I go someplace really cool, I'll stay a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Well, every place is really cool.
Yeah, but I know, but say if it's like exotic or you haven't been
Yeah.
there before, and maybe want to get a little flavor for the
So
area.
I hope go back to it again.
Yeah,
Stockholm was very interesting.
Really?
Now they're using a lot of the English guys, Europeans, for the that side of the pond. And,
save some money.
Saves money. I'm hoping we'll go that private island, but that'd be nice if we can go.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Abu Dhabi, was it?
Yeah,
Abu Dhabi, yeah.
that's pretty awesome stuff.
It's pretty.
It's weird watching that with no audience.
I know.
It's more like a little studio
you gotta
now.
be there.
Yeah,
But like you said, you can hear
So much
everything.
fun. Like when audience is there, you get like chills. Like I think it's Bob O'Reilly for the UFC.
yes.
They play it and you see everyone going nuts, and you're like, all right, here's the main event. Let's do this.
Yeah,
And you get the chills. You get really happy.
oh yeah.
And now it's just like it's just weird.
It's weird, right? It's like
Yeah.
surreal, kind
And
of.
then you hear the announcers talking and this and that. And you really can't listen. And a lot. I don't have anything against anyone, but a lot of times they're not on.
It's so funny.
And then you have that quarter guys, say, hey, and the guy didn't even hit him. They're trying, you're winning. Oh, no, he's not winning. So,
Well, Steve and I watch a lot of the fights together, and we always score the fights. We play like we're you, and we score the fights and see who we think won and why and so forth. And it's very strange though watching it without the audience.
Yeah.
But I said some of these guys, they said they actually liked it better because they heard the corners or
Yeah.
heard actually some of the announcers telling them what to do. One of them heard DC say something, and it helped them win the fight. I can't
Oh, really?
remember. It was a few fights ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I'll go back to the fights in Jersey. It's going to be a little strange because, like I said, my job becomes many different jobs, and one of them is when people in the audience try to get involved, they get stupid, and I automatically
Yes.
do what I got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be a little weird not having an audience there. There's less stuff to do.
Feel less stressful.
Well,
he likes the stress.
I know. He eats it.
Nick thinks I like to fight. I don't know.
I don't know whatever game.
It has nothing to do with fighting. It's just I have it in me. No, I have it in me. I want right and wrong, and I want people to do the right thing, and people need to be put in their place. When they need to be put in their place, have respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I live by. That you know how
Absolutely.
respect, and if you need to be put in your place, I don't care who you are. It doesn't
Share
matter
that
to me. It doesn't matter.
No, we share that.
If I get hurt doing it, I get hurt doing it. That's life. You know what I mean?
So, Dave, before we wrap up today, I know that you have some fights coming up. Can you tell us about these fights that are coming up?
I have Bellator coming up not this weekend, the following weekend.
Following
I think that's the 7th. I think it's 7th.
7th is a Friday.
Yeah, 7th. It's 7th.
So 7th,
Yeah.
Mohegan Sun,
Mohegan
no
Sun.
audience.
No audience. It's a big drape around the cage, and we have to sit in certain spots. We have to be socially distant from each other.
You should get them to wear these shirts. There's Back 6 Feet at
Yeah,
back6feet.com. That's Stephen R's t-shirt business. So
Nice.
We when the whole thing started, and I had to brainstorm, I called him right away. So listen, I got these slogans on my head, stuff that's going on. So
Yeah.
we come up with this together, and I made a shirt that says, "Protect yourself and others. Mask, gloves, 6 feet distance, wash your hands," which would be great now because everything's going on. That's what they talk about.
Right.
CDC, all the rules, and that's what they talk about. And then there's stuff started going on with the riot and stuff.
Yeah.
So I made. Can I show the shirt?
Yeah, you can show the shirt.
I made this shirt right here. Oh,
It says U.S. military's lives matter.
Nice.
Actually, U.S. military
because you know
veterans'
what?
lives matter.
Because I did a little write up with it, who I sent it to, and one of the things I wrote down is, without the military, there would be no American freedom for you to do what you're doing. And it really bothers me that things are being disrespected the way they are, and it's unbelievable to me. And I just can't. I don't want to get the whole thing, but it's hard for me to take that the whole country's being disrespected and let it to be happen. And I'm not. And in my opinion, people on the other side that don't like Trump are letting it happen just to get at him, which is bad, because this president, in my eyes, he's done a lot of great things, and he's for America.
As we should all be for America. You know.
Well, I'm an American that stands up for America.
Yep.
And to me, I'm the same kind of guy as you and him and President Trump. You know, and that's what I see. He's a person that stands up for America. I don't understand it otherwise. What's going on?
So I met his sons at a
In Newark.
Yeah, UFC,
Newark.
yeah.
I was there. I was at that
Newark
fight.
at another fight, and and then President Trump was there.
Yeah.
I thought they were both great guys. You see a lot of people in the VIP section. They're very arrogant. They're talking the whole time. They're not watching the fights. They were watching the whole fights. They were the biggest fans there. They were screaming. So
Yeah, Colby Covington fought
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler.
Because Covington's friends with Trump.
Yeah.
And I walked up to Eric and Donald Jr. I said, listen, tell your father that Steve Cerrone from Sea Caucus is the best president we ever had. So I told him. And I happened to meet Pompeo at a West Point game. I was with Di Pasquale.
Yeah.
Because his cousin, and so I was talking to him and said, to me, the people, I know, Mike, I think you guys are doing a great job. It's a shame what you're being put through. To me, you're doing a great job. They're people, they care for the country, and they get pounded ever since they've been there. It's a shame.
Well, look, it's funny because it's a very difficult job, no matter who has it. Just like I told you, I don't envy your position, because you know what? You never hear, "Oh, the judges did a great job." You never hear that. You know what you hear? That judge, what the hell is he looking at? You never hear, "Oh gosh, that judge did a great job." You just don't. You only just hear about what you did wrong or how you screwed up.
I gotta. Sometimes I get messages from people like from Russia. You're yelling at me. You're the worst judge ever. So it's just get a lot of enemies. But I was right there, dude. I was watching the fight.
Yeah. The thing is that and sometimes, and here's something that I've wound up doing, is that when you see a fight, sometimes when you see a fight the first time, especially when it's on TV and you're just watching it, and you say, "How could the judge think that?" And then I watch it again, and I say, "Okay, I see that. I understand now why the judge made that decision. It was the right decision." And I don't know how many people do that.
You screw up.
Yeah. Look, no one's infallible, right? That's why I tell everyone. That's why there's an eraser on the other end of a pencil, because we're not infallible.
I have worked many, many shows with you over the years, and I can't remember a time where there was on your part, a big mess up. I mean, as far as the judging scores.
Thank you.
I mean, there's a few I can point out. Other people, not saying only bad, but not. I understand that it's a fine line.
Yeah.
But I understand I've seen where 30-27, and this one guy said 30-27 the other way, and I'm like baffled. I don't understand that, But they have their own way of judging it. They see different things, what they score by. You know what I mean?
I should go up to him and say, "What the hell did you see? What were you?"
Well, I'm
looking
sure
at?"
they get enough.
So but no, you have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
So we all want to be on the same page. I say, well, "What did you see?" Like, you got to tell me.
So you guys actually do that, right?
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah.
Do it all the time.
Yeah.
We'll do it right after they announce it. We'll go to each other like, "Why did you score? What were you looking at? What did you think?"
Yeah.
Because
Why'd
it's
you
tough.
score that way?
Does anybody go and say, "I screwed up," or no? They defend the position, or is it mixed, or?
Actually, see people say, maybe I didn't see that the right way.
Yeah. Okay.
And they all want to make I have to say this. They all want to make the best call. They're not doing it to be a jerk.
Right.
Yeah, but see, I mean, I feel bad because our commissioner.
No, you did good catch. Good catch. I was going to say that.
Our commissioner has a hard job. They do a great job at making this commission the best commission and everything on point. And if one of the scores a little off, it's makes it it's hard on them because they do such a great job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they gotta explain that.
Have you ever worked with? And obviously, I don't want to name, but have you ever worked on a fight where the other judge or some of the other judges were just horrendous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, the newer guys.
Yeah.
Usually, newer guys.
Oh, wait, let me ask you: if someone from a no, I know it's on three judges,
Right.
but now what if there's a one of your fighters up there? Do you recuse yourself?
Yeah. I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Even though you trust your judgment, but you can't help it.
From the fight. Yeah.
It's actually worse because whenever we've had the open tournaments stuff, and I've had to judge my people, I'm always tougher on them.
Yeah.
So they don't want me to judge them.
I don't think you would be biased anyway. You do your job. I don't think
I wouldn't want that responsibility.
No. It's
No. I've had people that I've disagreed with. They came to my gym. We had whatever, and they're fighting, and I'm like, I can't have anything to do with them.
Yeah,
because you don't use that. If you do screw up, then they'll say, "Oh, you did that bias." So
yeah. We're trying to get back.
The smartest thing to do is abstain yourself.
Yeah.
And say, "No, I can't."
Well, that's a no-win situation because let's say you're judging your fighter and he loses, he's going to hate you.
Yeah, you don't judge him. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that though. They see, hey, there's guys from his fight team on the card, and he's a referee. I'm sorry, a judge here.
Usually it's a financial gain, or something happened, or that person. So
So, has anybody ever tried to bribe you?
Never.
Okay, good.
Never.
Yeah.
No one's. I've never heard of that.
Okay, good.
matter of fact, there's rules for the commission.
Yeah.
A lot of rules you can't take anything from.
Can't take anything.
Oh yeah, I know.
Or anything. We had to go through the whole thing online. Of course, we had to do it in November. I think it was.
Yeah. Right before something happened.
Larry put out there, the commissioner, and we had to take.
You can't go to lunch. You can't
take tickets, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Which is just smart.
Oh yeah, just it's nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. So there's no question, no loopholes, no chance of incident happening.
Larry and Nick are very professional.
Oh yeah.
And
I've dealt with both of them.
They know what they're doing. They have the total knowledge of everything that's going on with this sport, every sport, and they're the best in the world at it.
Thank God for those guys because they've done a heck of a job with the sport.
I really haven't run into a bad commissioner. They're all really supportive of me from
That's awesome.
the whole state, the whole country. Just really good people. They want to make sure that you're calling the right fight. They want to support you. They'll discuss things with you. They have your back. I've never had a commissioner throw me into the bus. Never.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I sit down. I have discussions with Larry and Nick, and they have so much knowledge. I learned so much from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about old times stuff with Larry about boxing and this one, and we know a lot of the same people. Like as far as guys I boxed for the whole thing, and Nick, we got to know the same people, and he just has so much knowledge.
Yep.
He's a very smart man.
Like I said,
He
discuss
never
all the time with them.
and he never says anything out of line, and I admire both of them.
Mr. Ratner, Mark Ratner.
Mhm.
Another good
He's
guy.
another great guy.
Yeah. I don't know him, but I heard about him.
One time I think I was right, and I watched it and I was right. And he said, David, I'd watch that fight when you get home. Just announcers don't agree with you. So I went home, I watched it. I thought I was totally right. I don't remember what fight it was, but I think I was right.
Gosh.
But he doesn't get mad at you. He'll even he'll go to another country with us and he'll go in the meeting and he'll discuss the meeting. When we go to Florida, he's in the meeting talking to us about, different fights. So
He runs things when Dana's not there. He's basically, I've had good conversations with him. He's a very, very good man.
he's a great man.
It's excellent. Well, you know what? The company's done great. Have been the only sport through this whole pandemic for anyone to watch real live sports, except for cornhole and
I like cornhole.
X.
We would be playing last year, man.
Yeah, we were great at cornhole.
I would have my broken arm,
I
remember?
know, we still did well.
No, sure.
But guys, it's been a great session
Thank
today.
you very much.
And I look forward to seeing you next week. I'll be watching the Bellator. Is this one on Paramount
I don't know.
or Dan's? Okay, so we don't know if it's on Paramount.
What day of the week is that?
Friday.
Just Friday coming up?
We actually go Wednesday night. We get tested 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Thursday. And then we got to hang out there and fight to Friday night.
It's on Paramount. It's the old Spike, I think.
Yeah, Old Spike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the Cologne.
Not the clone. No. All right, guys. Anything else before we wrap up?
That was
Guys,
awesome.
all right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for our special guests, Dave Torelli and Steve Cerrone. And this is Master Phil in your corner with Dougie Fresh signing off, and strength and honor.